Alright, we're back, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to add another thing, answering our Muslim friends, clarifying their misconceptions, and cleaning up after the cults, the dog logic heretics of the world, the author bros, and all those fake fringe cults who have nothing to do with the Orthodox Catholic faith. Okay? So just to add to the previous video about Eusebius of Alexandria and the Acts of the Second Council of Nicaea, which that metaphysician grifter claims that it condemns the Eusebius, what it really condemned is his defense of the Arians at the time of the First Nicaean Council. Not that he was an Arian, not that he was condemned as Arian, not that his writings are condemned over doctrine and dogma, but about the defense of certain Arians, like Origenes, the biggest one, okay? Which in his time it wasn't called Arianism, but he preached something like that, Platonism, pagan things like that, okay? So, which were condemned by the Second Council of Constantinople, by the blessed Roman Emperor, Justinianus Magnus, okay? So let's move to the points about that our Muslim friends claim, and they have no place in reality. What was it? The next point. Oh yeah, recently. Yes? Recently, now the main one who we're answering is the new star, the Sudanese girl, Korra the Taimi. We're answering you, Korra, your misconception. Continue to do so. And the first one is that apparently there is a contradiction. There is a contradiction between Acts 9:7 and Acts 22:9. Okay? Well, Saint Augustinus of Regio Sipo and the fathers already dealt with those things and explained them to the last detail from several angles, even, which are harmonized. Okay? So let's show you that in one verse in the book, it says that the blessed apostle Paulus said that the disciples didn't hear God's voice, Christos' voice, and in the other, it says that they heard the voice, okay? So it's very easy. Saint Augustinus of Hippo already, and the fathers already explained the difference of that voice in each verse, what it means, and they did so even according to the Greek grammar, which the Greek grammar shows that when the word voice, phone, was mentioned in the verse, in the grammar of the Greek, one is the accusative and one is the genitive form. The context shows a different meaning of that word, okay? So, one meaning is that in one verse, when it says that they didn't hear the voice, it means that they didn't hear only St. Paulus heard, but they didn't hear. They only heard St. Paulus speak, but they didn't hear the Father speak. Christos is speaking with him. Only they heard of a noise, a noise, a sound which is not speech, not which didn't contain a message intelligible message that the apostle understood. Meaning they didn't hear like listening, they didn't hear with the additional aspect of understanding. Okay? This is what Saint Augustinus and Saint Chrysostomus teach about it. The different aspect, Saint Chrysostomus, the Patriarch of Constantinople, the Holy Patriarch, they observe it from a different way, which are harmonized. So this was what Saint Augustinus teaches. One is an actual speech, intelligible speech that they heard, and one time it was a sound. For example, like in scriptures, it says that God will roar as a lion. They heard something like that, a roar, okay? Now, in Saint Chrysostomus, he teaches it in his 47th homily on Acts. You see, they made homilies covering the entire Gospels and New Testament. They dealt with every problem that you think you are onto, Muslim friends. And we take our saints as infallible, as heirs of the apostles, bearers and carriers of the oral sacred tradition, writing under the Holy Spirit matters of doctrine and dogma. So that is our paradigm. So if we take them as the infallible interpreters, inseparable their writings from scriptures, okay? Two sides of the same coin to us, the sacred oral tradition and the divine scriptures, the written word, the sole authority of interpretations is with them, not with us or anybody else or scholars. We don't care about academics. We don't care about any of them. Only church authority and their teachings is the teachings that is passed down to this day to the bishops of the apostolic sees. Okay? This is who are our shepherds, our guides. So this is what we believe, not in the academics and the innovators, the bid'ah doers. Okay, Muslims? So let's see what Saint Chrysostomus says about it. So what he says about it, that it was, yes, like I said, it was St. Paul's voice alone that they heard at one time, and at the other time it was Christos' voice, okay? So, this is what the fathers teach about it. It's very easy, no contradiction, no problem or any something like that. And we'll move to the next point. Alright, now the second point I want to clarify again about the famous claim about Christos, the Lord, didn't know that he claims that the Son doesn't know the hour. Even the Son doesn't know the hour. Like the angels and everyone else doesn't accept the Father, okay? So like they say in the West, I don't like to use their slang, but it's so cringe, that dog logic, idiotic, concocted ad hoc nonsense that he claims that the word in the Greek, to know, he also means declarative knowledge. Another term he invented, declarative knowledge. Oh my God. And they're embarrassing themselves in front of Muslims and everyone when they spewing that stupid dog logic talking point, which the saints none of them taught some stupidity like that, something like that, and that shows you they don't follow the saints. They follow themselves. They invent innovations. Okay, they just use it as a weapon against Muslims. They will go to such a length to distort, okay, even the Greek text, the holy text of the Septuagint. They will even lie about that just to get at Muslims. This is the Islamophobic cancer in the West, among other heretical cancers, okay? Now, I want to explain to you the teachings of the saints about it. The teachings of the saints about it is very simple. Very simple. Number one, Christos speaks in parables, in parabolic language, in his role as the son of Adam. Okay? Now, because of that, he speaks from his humanity. And he speaks on behalf of all humanity, as a representative of humanity, as someone who is, in that time, was on purpose hidden his divinity, because he wanted to teach us to be, to teach us how to live divine virtue, the kingdom of the Father and all that. He wanted to teach that as one of them. Immanuel. This is the prophecy in Isaiah. Okay? God with us. Okay? So he tested their faith in him, even though he didn't show them explicitly his humanity. He was testing man's faith, and he spoke on behalf of all humanity as the son of Adam, which manifested, including their ignorance about the divine plan, the last hour. Okay, that's why he says, when he says the son is the son of Adam, the son of man, not the son of God. Also, in addition to it, Saint Augustinus teaches us that because the different Gospels with the different events showing different angles and harmonized of the same truth, focuses on specific theological matters, when it seems to you as if it's a contradiction or errors or whatever, something like that you claim, Muslim friends. So he teaches that the original Gospel of Matthias, okay, the original Gospel of Matthias, as opposed to Luke, it doesn't mention even the Son doesn't know the hour. It omits it there. Why? Because one Gospel is showing the focus of Christos in the role of the son of Adam, and one shows that no, the Son is excluded from that ignorance, meaning the Son knows as his Father knows. Okay? So this is easily completely debunked, and I don't need to invent cringe moronic things like new terms or new words that mean declarative knowledge, like the dog logic that he does. Okay? So this is Korra, very easy, very simple, no dilemma, no nothing. Yes? Now, I want to touch with another point made maybe by you, I didn't hear it, it is made regularly by your friend Itachi. Okay, Itachi, if you will see that, I'll publish it on your Twitter if you want, and I will do that. You claim, and you think the saints didn't already dealt with this matter too, the dilemma, so-called paradox, that because Adam and Eve were created without the knowledge of good and evil, dath tov vara in the Hebrew text, yes? Because of that, God's in Scripture, when God punishes them, that means our Scripture is corrupted, because it makes God unjust, because if they didn't know the knowledge of good and evil, then they didn't know what they were doing, okay, by disobeying God, because they didn't know that disobeying Him is an evil thing. Well, let me explain something to you, Itachi. No, as the saints teach, okay, Saint Chrysostomus teaches, Saint Augustinus, dealt with it. Adam and Eve, let's start with this. Adam and Eve, according to the Genesis account, created in God's image and likeness. In the likeness of the Trinity, the Elohim. Okay? Now, that means that their knowledge was great. They had great knowledge. This is why when given the Adamic language to Adam, which is later the Hebrew, okay? The Adamic language is a special language because the root words have special meanings, and different words of the same root are linked to one another as complementary. It's very complicated, okay? So Adam, as you said, God told him to name the animals. God shows how knowledgeable to construct those words, because he and incorporated different aspects to the same word to show a certain animal attributes. Okay? According to the characteristic, the attributes of a certain animal, like the nahash, the snake, which means nahash. That word means magic, which means something demonic. Okay, and stuff like that. Okay, so he knew he was great in knowledge. Only what he lacked. Now he didn't lack. They didn't. Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa, they didn't lack the knowledge of knowing what's right, correct, and what is wrong, not correct. What they lacked is the divine morality of knowing in yourself that something is good and evil, which you Muslims also believe that we're born into it intuitively in our nature, because we are made in God's image. That we believe it after the eating of the tree, of course, but inherently knowing what's right and wrong, and disobeying God and not disobeying God. Disobeying is the right thing to do, and disobeying is not the right thing to do. That they knew, the saints teach. Okay? What they didn't lack, as Saint Gregorius of Nyssa, the Cappadocian father, yes? From the three Cappadocian fathers, he teaches us, he makes the analogy that by theory we know, for example, that a poison will cause harm and death, and is to be aware of, but what we didn't know until we experience it, how deadly it is, okay? So this is exactly the difference between what the distinction they made, okay? So, God created man. Man knew that his master, his creator is God, that he must obey him, because he created him and he told him what to do, okay? Now, to emphasize it, what God tells Adam, so it would be made clear, okay? It would make clear that it would he would understand not to eat from the tree and disobey God. What does it tell him? That he will die on the day he eats. It even gives him, you will die, you will no longer exist. I warn you. Okay? So, he had no excuse, but, and this is the teaching of Saint Irenaeus of Lugdunum, okay? The disciple of Saint Polycarpus of Smyrna, the bishop, okay? Which was the disciple of Saint Paulus, yes? So, he teaches us that because, exactly like you say, okay, let's, even if we grant you that they didn't know, like babies, they didn't know, anything, and, or that they didn't know at all knowledge, at all of reason, of rationality, and on all those things, even if we granted this, that they were that they shouldn't be punished. Well, what is God's punishment to them? As the saint teaches, that it was not a punishment on the level that is not deserving to them. It was a punishment as a medicine for their own good. Which means when God punished them with death, He gave them now starts the trial on earth. The trial on earth starts here of men to test his faith and to do the works, faith and works, inseparable, to salvation. And after man succeeds in that, in conquering the evil inclination and all that, and reject and conquer sin, he will be even in a greater state than in the original state in the Garden of Eden with Adam. He will surpass that. The trial will bring him to higher state of holiness and unity with God. Okay? So this him having to work hard before that he didn't work hard. He worked, but it was very easy for the plants to grow after Adam did certain easy things. Now it will be very hard to cultivate the ground and all that to make things grow. Okay? He teaches him the virtue of hard work as a medicine. And the same with Hawa, Eve. He teaches her the precious gift of life, that in sorrow, in hardship, she will be pregnant and bear a child in hard labor, because to show her how the gift of life is so great that the hardship is worth it. Okay, the same principle he gave both men and women. Okay, and woman. Okay, unlike what he did to the snake, which was more harsh, that he will crawl on his belly and eat sand all his life. But notice that even the snake, because he is an animal used as a tool by the Satan, because he's an animal, he actually was created, actually he spoke, and he knew things. It said the most cunning, the smartest beast of the field, of them all. And the word for cunning, smart, which doesn't exist in English, only in the Hebrew, because it's the Adamic language, it's the same word exactly to naked. To say like he was the most naked one from the beast of the field. Which those meanings only linked to each other, because also in Adam and Eve, when they were naked, arum, yes, they saw themselves as such because their eyes were open, because they felt upon themselves, and they knew the true morality of God, how things in incomprehensible way, as God understands them and feels them, how things are good and evil, okay, on themselves. They had the guilt because of it and all that. Okay? So we'll wrap it up. This is what the saints teach, and yes, this is I think I covered on this point. I think I covered Yes, in his homilies on Genesis, Saint Johannes Chrysostomus, he teaches about how, from the text himself, that he noted that Eve's dialogue with the snake proves she knew that eating was the act of disobedience against God's decree and so on. Okay? So, it took too long this time because there are a lot of things to break apart, a lot of things to explain. So we'll do the next, we'll do the part 3 afterwards, and we'll wrap it up.